Meet the freshman, Auburn Tigers edition. There's two of them. Tahaad Pettiford, number 27 overall prospect in the On3 rankings, 4-star. Jahki Howard, another 4-star, number 72 overall. These two teammates come in highly touted. Auburn is very high on both of these players. And Riley, I know you're very high on both of these players as well.
Yeah, and part of it stems from the fact that they were AAU teammates for New Heights Lightning. I just love that angle, which automatically, I'm a big duos guy. You keep two kids who have played together for the last couple of years. What's not to like about that, especially when one has star potential in Pettiford, and then Howard is just the incredible athlete who going to a pretty good coach, I would say, that's found some success harnessing the skill set of some of those guys who were ranked similarly coming out of high school and maybe had some offensive question marks that he refined. Like, think Howard's a much different player than Isaac Okoro, but Okoro was like a top 40 kid coming out of high school who, probably had some offensive question marks coming in and thrived under Pearl and became a one and done. So I love the fit for both of these guys. I buy both the short term and long term potential.
We ranked them the 17th best incoming freshman class in the country in our sleepers consensus. I had them as 18. You had them at 14. So you were higher on them than I was, but pretty similar. This range feel right in terms of where we should expect this group to stack up nationally by the end of the year.
Yeah, I don't have too many qualms with it. I'll bump it up a few notches higher just because I know Pettiford's not a 5-star. I know he's doesn't really have a. I wouldn't say there's a clear path to starter minutes even, but should have a good solid role of at least being like a 6-man type, and the upside is there for him. He could conceivably beat out JP Pugliese if he struggles with the bump up in competition. Again, he's going to have to beat some guys to get there. And Miles Kelly handled the ball a ton at Georgia Tech to where, Pearl could easily give the reins of the offense to him if Pugliese is struggling. But yeah, I still would put him in the star potential category, which, has me a little bit higher on this group.
Yeah. Do you think how much playing time does he get this year? Do you think like describe his game and how that plays into what Auburn wants to do and what his role could potentially be this year?
So he probably has some work to do if he wants to be a true floor general type of point guard, but I think he definitely has the skill to be, your more new age lead guard. He can play on ball, he can play off ball. Again, New Heights Lightning, I watched a decent amount of that team when they had Elliot Cadeau, Carolina fan, for those who didn't know, loved watching them. And so many of the highlights was just Cadeau throwing lobs to Pettiford and Howard both. I love that Pettiford is like 6'1", but can get up there. The dude has crazy hops, really good handle, super quick, like has a deep bag, so to speak. Really good shooter who can get hot in a hurry. Type of dude who can go off for, at least in the high school level, 30 to 40 points. And it might take some time for him to get there in the college level, but I wouldn't be surprised if he has a couple games where he just goes nuclear and gets you 25 plus points. And it's like, oh, dang, this dude's coming off the bench, giving Auburn a huge lift. He's also a lefty, which, just sort of fun to watch. I love left-handed guards.
Yeah, it's very easy to see him fitting into Auburn just with the aggressiveness he plays with.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Auburn's in your face style fits what he does so well. And he's undersized, he's 5'11", listed at 5'11". Very pesky. He's got a knack for coming up with steals. He is can be a bit erratic offensively, but it's just him trying to do some things going full speed. It's a lot of fun to watch. It's Auburn basketball, quite frankly. Like it's a good fit, and I think he's going to have a good career there.
Yeah.
He's a very talented player. Jahki Howard is as well. What not rated as highly, was very highly thought of earlier in his high school career, has kind of fallen down the ranking since I think his sophomore year, but still a
Mm-hmm.
very good player. What's Auburn getting in Jahki Howard, and what role could he play for that team this year?
He strikes me as someone who's probably more of a maybe could be like a 3, even a 4-year player. Again, the explosiveness is what sticks out. I would say his best trait right now is just cutting baseline, catching lobs. I don't really know what he's gonna do if you're expecting him to dribble much or create in terms of that. I would say his jump shot is probably still a bit of a work in progress too. But it's an area of his game I think he's made strides in and should continue to. He's going into a coach who, you think about probably 6, 7 years ago was seen as on the cutting edge of like the small ball pace and space era at the college game, and yeah, I think he can coax a little bit more production out of him on that end as well.
I think so too. I mean, he's a freak athlete who is still at his best in transition. You mentioned catching lobs, like plays above the rim. Auburn's going to go deep in their bench because of how fast they play. I think he'll get some opportunity, and the style lends, I think, itself to him making or being able to make something of an impact when he's on the court, even though that I think the skill set has to come along. Playing that fast allows him to use more of his physical tools right now. But we'll see. We'll see where he ends up, certainly. Either of them one and done or have the potential to be one and done, you think?
I think Pettiford has that potential. Yeah. Again, it's going to take
Really?
him beating. Yeah, there's a world. I mean, I don't think it's a great possibility, but we've seen. I mentioned Okoro. Sharif Cooper was another like the
Yeah.
same type of guards or wings in Okoro's place. Who I mean, Okoro did a decent amount of ball handling when he played at Auburn, but ranked similarly in that 20 to 40 range, who exceed expectations and are out of there. And for Pettiford, I would say it probably would have to be beating out Pegues and getting a. I mean, maybe let's say he beats out Pegues for the starting role, and they sort of run the offense through Miles Kelly. I mean, Kelly's a bit of he's definitely like a shoot first kind of guy, and I think Pettiford is as well. I don't. On one hand, though, maybe I mean, if Pearl unlocks Miles Kelly and Pettiford's able to play off of him, let his strength shine a little bit, I could see it happening.
Bruce Pearl has done crazier things with less talented players. Let's put it that way.
I
I
agree.
don't think there's a one and done. I think Pettiford's size keeps that from being a thing, even if he's very productive. Right. I think I know Sharif Cooper was similar size, had one and done. Sharif Cooper also came in with a little bit more hype, was very highly rated. I think
Mm.
he was top 10, top 15 in
Was
his
he
high school
really?
class. Mm-hmm.
For some reason, I thought he was like in the
McDonald's
30s.
All
I could.
American. I think he was. Anyway, I promised the
He was so
Discord
fun to watch.
that when I pulled things off the top of my head like that I would do Google searches, because I've been incorrect on a number of these that I have pulled. So let's just check Sharif Cooper here. 6 foot, 160 pound point guard, Marietta, Georgia. He was a 5 star. He was ranked as the number 27 prospect in the country, which is the exact same
Hey.
as Tahaad Pettiford. So
Okay. Okay.
I was right about the 5th star. I was not right about him being top 10.
Yeah, I do remember Sharif having more hype though. I'll give you that for sure because he had like the crazy passing to go along with just the fun undersized guard who was super quick. So yeah, I can see that.
I, I I don't think it happens again because Sharif Cooper was out of the league in like a year and a half.
Yeah, that was sad. I
Yeah,
love Sharif.
I don't think it happens again. I'm gonna guess that makes you think Pettiford's gonna have a better season this season than Howard. Who do you think has a better career at Auburn?
I still think Pettiford just because like there how many small guards can we point to who are just awesome at Auburn under Bruce Pearl? Jared Harper, Sharif
Yeah,
Cooper. Let's see.
it's like a staple for Bruce Pearl teams.
Who was the other Final Four guard alongside Jared Harper? Was it Bruce Brown?
Yeah, there was a year there were
Double
like three
B's.
Bruce Browns or
Bryce
Bryce
Brown. It was
Brown.
Bryce Brown. Bryce
Bryce
Brown. Yeah,
Brown.
that
There were
dude was
three Bryce
nice. He was
Browns.
undersized. Like there's a lot of a track record here more so than I think. I mean, Pearl has been good with wings as well. I don't want to have Chumo Kiki erasure, but I just have more question marks with. Even though I like Jahki Howard, I have more question marks for, how it clicks at the next level. And I would say I'll go ahead and answer the question about who's more disappointing. I think his floor is a lot lower because it seems like year in year out we see these guys who have crazy highlights. Like if you pull up Jahki Howard on YouTube, there's a ton of between the leg dunks. Like dude is literally doing East Bays in game, and it's sick. But you got to have a little more skill than that. You got to be able to do something with the ball in your hands to carve out a productive role, especially in the SEC.
Yeah, I think Pettiford has a better career. I do think this is interesting though. Looking at their roster, 9 players for probably their top 9. I mean, you can throw Pettiford in there, so 9 of their top 10, or certainly 9 of their top 11, are all either seniors, grad students, or fifth year seniors. The other two are these two. There's real
The young
potential for
boys.
this duo to be what Auburn builds around for the next
Mm-hmm.
2 years after this. It also makes me wonder how long Bruce Pearl's leash with them is this year, right?
Because they
Because
have
he had
so many vets.
so
Yeah.
many vets, so much experience, so much continuity from last year's team that was a 4 seed, won the SEC tournament. Like, I think that's one of the interesting things with this group is, as talented as Pettiford is, as talented as Jahki Howard is probably the sixth guard in that 6'6" mold on the roster, and the others have either been with Auburn or are Miles Kelly, and you're a senior with ACC experience. Todd Pettiford, you're trying to beat out JP Pegues, who came in from Furman, was one of the best players in the SoCon. There's a senior who has NCAA tournament experience. They didn't bring him in there to like not play him. You
It's
know,
true.
I'm interested to see how Bruce handles that, and conversely, how Pettiford and Howard handle that too. Because like we mentioned, these were not 5 stars, but these are highly touted guys. These are big
Mm-hmm.
names that a lot of people wanted. I don't think you choose to go to Auburn knowing the situation and get upset with the situation, but you never know.
Yeah, that's fair. Um, at the same time, I think there's a world where Bruce Pearl looks at this team and he's like, okay, Denver Jones, I know what he is. He's a 9 point per game scorer. Oh, Chaney Johnson doesn't live up to expectations. Chad Baker Mazara keeps getting technical fouls in big moments. You know what? I'm going to let my young dudes rock out a little bit because
Yeah,
Jahki Howard can basically, he can basically get his chin above the rim. Like that dude's bounce is just insane. And I don't know. I do the only trepidation I have with that is looking back to like Cohen Carr, for instance. I know Cohen Carr is
yeah,
like 6'4", and I think Howard's 6'6", 6'7". But that type of player who, I watched Cohen Carr in the preseason last year at Michigan State's preseason hype event dunk from the free throw line. And I was like, oh, I don't care if this dude doesn't have any basketball skills. Guys with that level of explosiveness, they can find a role. And he very much did not find a role. But
yeah,
I do think Howard's further along when it comes to, his overall skill with handling and shooting and everything. But yeah, there's just still, I would say, a little bit of hesitancies to full on go there, even though as we hash it out, I think there's a world where Pearl's just like, hey, I'm going to play these young dudes who got NBA potential.
yeah. I think all 11 of these guys play. I think it's also worth noting that at least when it comes to handling freshmen and handling kind of more wild card players, Bruce Pearl is much more open and free with letting them go do their thing than Tom Izzo is. You know,
Great point. Also a great point.
yeah. So there is some of that. I think Jahki Howard is going to be that guy who, when Auburn is playing at home and needs like a spark, a couple dunks from him, and that place gets going the way that place gets going, and everything is right in the world.
Well said.
Probably happens against South Carolina, but we'll we'll see what happens there. Auburn, you have a very good team this year. These two guys project to be a solid part of that. If they're not for some reason, also a pretty good duo to build around.
Car, you know what I love about you?
That I'm handsome?
You're reliable. I can count on you. Honestly, you remind me of Aaron Henry a little bit. Remember when their back was against the wall, nothing was going right, and man just showed up every day. He didn't make excuses. There were no problems. There were just solutions.
Sounds like me.
That's you. And it also reminds me of Duncan Mechanical Solutions, because if you're looking for quality furnace repair, look no further than the heating and air experts that you can trust. Comfort and quality are their standard. They're an HVAC company that serves Northeast Indiana and Southern Michigan, whether it's heating and air conditioning, plumbing, kitchen and bath remodeling, or emergency services when you need them most. Duncan Mechanical Solutions has reliable service that you can count on. Cart, remember when your basement almost exploded?
I remember when my basement almost exploded. I remember when my furnace itself was acting funny. I remember when my AC was acting funny. I wish I had Duncan in my back pocket. I wouldn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been anywhere in Northern Indiana or Southern Michigan that hasn't been perfectly cool or perfectly warm, depending on when the day called for. And that's because of Duncan Mechanical Solutions. They are the presenting sponsor for the month of July. Shout out to Duncan Mechanical Solutions. Go to duncanmechanicalsolutions.com to learn more.